to identify which location the person called, he goes, Liquor City, this is Florence. And then he hung up the phone, he looked at me, and I was just standing there staring at he goes, I just realized that the guy probably thinks my name is Florence.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 22 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey fellas.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening, fellas. Sorry, I just started laughing.
That's all right.
It's a bad quality I have.
It's good to be back to socially distanced with you guys. Last week we sat around the table, and apparently took us 2 weeks to get over that. So, just so we know, not 2 weeks. We didn't quarantine or anything for 2 weeks after.
No, it was your dog snoring.
Yeah, the dog snoring was probably too much to handle.
Yeah, it was a traumatic experience. And when you actually got to breathe right strips out, and you tried to put them on the dog, that became too much.
If we want, I can probably, on this episode, call my wife and we can go live to the house, and I can promise you he's snoring away again right now. So just like he does for 20 hours a day.
I need that sleep schedule, but we didn't see each other because I was actually on vacation. So I know you guys are headed out of town sometime soon here, a week or so maybe. But I was down in North Carolina on my annual family vacation. It was really nice to be down there because we missed it last year, of course, because of COVID. And of course, just like I told you guys when I talked about Ohio, whenever I travel with family to see family, I'm always bourbon hunting. And so North Carolina is a tricky state because it's the ABC stores and they are state controlled. And sometimes that can be a great thing, but a lot of times it's not so good. And the first year, the second year that I was bourbon hunting down there, the first year I didn't really know what I was doing, but the second year I was down there, we caught some, 1.75 liter bottles of Eagle Rare, some McKenna, ancient age, some of the fun stuff that you can't get in every state, but stuff that was good. And so I went back there with high hopes, but I will just tell you guys this, just like my trip to Ohio, going to North Carolina, things were a little bit bare. You could tell that things had been picked over. You could see the spots on the shelf, like where they had 1792 foolproof, Elijah Craig barrel proof. A lot of things you could see the tags for it, but the shelf was empty.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. And so I quickly was like, oh man, this is too good to be true. I thought the 2 year gap, maybe I'd come back and it'd get better, but it didn't seem to get any better. But still had a great time with family, and I did come across some interesting whiskey. So I saw a 35-year-old Canadian whiskey called J.P. Weiser's.
35?
Yeah.
I mean, the barrel when I was 3 years old.
Right? You see that and you're like, 35 years old, I got to look at this. But I have no idea what it is. So I start, texting people, whiskey friends, people that I might know that are on podcasts and on Instagram. And everyone's like, no, I've never heard of it. But one prominent whiskey critic, who I won't name, said, go buy those bottles. And so I did buy them. And when I bought them, the clerk told me they had been on the shelf for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah. He said they'd sat there for 3 years, and he kind of chuckled and was like, I hope you enjoy them, buddy. And I was like,
so
okay.
Like 38 years old.
Exactly. And so when I sent that, I sent a message back to the person who told me that to buy them. And I said, the clerk kind of laughed at me and said they've been on the shelf for 3 years. And this person's response was, man, people just don't know whiskey. So I'll be excited to open one of those bottles. I haven't opened one yet, but it'd be nice to try it out, see if I did find kind of a diamond in the rough that I didn't know was there. So I'm not massive on Canadian whiskey. I started on it, but I'm interested to try that, so I'm really excited.
I got two questions about it.
Uh-huh.
How was the color, being 35 years?
It actually is not very dark, considering. And I tried to read up on this whiskey. I couldn't find out a lot about it. The only thing I know is they produced it 2 years and it's been discontinued. So I don't know much about the company.
Wow.
It's something that maybe we should explore that.
They put a lot of effort into a 35-year and then closed after 2 years.
2 years, right? I was going to say, maybe we should review that in a future episode.
It's like putting a bourbon bar on a bypass in a little town, Throw all that, you throw all that effort into it, and then it's going to end up closing because nobody wants to drive onto a bypass.
Well, you never know. I mean, I'm not quite sure what you're even talking about, but
that's what I would do. I would do that, but.
And I guess the second question.
What's the second question? Yeah,
I guess we can do. We can compare it next to Crown and see how that goes.
That's right. We should try because Crown is the quintessential Canadian whiskey,
Yes.
right? Everyone's had so.
So were you you went to an ABC in North Carolina? Was it like a tourist town, like a beach town, or was it like kind of kind of in no man's land?
Small beach town. I don't want to give the exact location,
Right,
because,
but it wasn't.
I don't want all of our fans of our podcast coming down and mobbing me when I'm on my vacation every year.
Well,
but
of
no,
course not. No.
Very small beach town, North Carolina. 3 ABC stores within a 18-mile radius, maybe. And so not more than a 20 minute drive between each, and most of them had the same stuff and the same results.
I'm just
except
saying
for
that
one.
because I've been one time. I went to an ABC store in North Carolina, and it was in Asheville.
Okay.
So pretty good sized city, and I think they only have 1 or 2, in that city. So obviously I didn't see anything there, because it's all going to be pretty picked over when you're hitting up one in a pretty big city like that, especially a touristy city.
Yeah.
I think other than the ancient age, that was the only thing I had any luck finding there.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I was just wondering what it'd be like in a tiny little town or something. Maybe you can.
like I said,
Maybe things sit there a little longer.
it was fruitful, and obviously with these bottles sitting there for 3+ years, and like I said, a person telling me they were good stuff to buy. Obviously, things fly under the radar there in that city more than others in that town. But I will say this: where we were at in North Carolina, you had to cross through mostly in South Carolina, so very southern North Carolina. So most of the trip was in South Carolina. There was a small liquor store right before we got to basically on the North Carolina-South Carolina border, and I went in there.
That and a
they had-
fireworks stand, I bet.
Oh, right by a fireworks
Because I
stand.
can
They
guarantee
had.
you in South Carolina, there's fireworks stands
I walk in
right
there.
on the borders.
great bottles, right? They got Four Roses Small Batch Select. They got Blanton's. They got Weller Antique. They got Special Reserve. And I'm like, oh, there's a store. Prices, though. What do you think those things are priced at? Like,
Well, my guess is being right across the border,
They're gonna get the
they're
people
going to
coming
get you.
over.
Yep.
yeah. What?
Oh,
a
you can't get it in North
Trace-
Carolina. You can get it here, but you're going to pay a lot.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace 1.75. A big bottle of Buffalo Trace was $110. A Blanton's 750 was $150. I think OWA was $170. And I chatted with the liquor store owner, and I just said, like, man, there's some great bottles up there. What do you think? And he's like, people complain all the time about the prices. He's like, but then when they realize they can't get it anywhere else, they come right back here and they buy it. So can't blame the guy. I wasn't buying from him, but he knows what he's doing over there. And, without disclosing his store name, because I don't want people going and hating on the guy. Like, a lot of people were jealous of those bottles when I was in the store. They were like, oh, man, but I'm not paying that much. He's like, somebody will.
You know what? Somebody will. That's
Yeah.
right. And that's people around here, especially in Lexington, they make fun of. They're like, oh, don't go patronize that business that are selling those bottles for so high. I'm like, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
Like, they've got 2 bottles of Blanton's at $150, and guess what? He's going to sell them both, and it doesn't matter. Like,
He's not exactly trying to build a customer base, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Some dude's coming in for a Keeneland race, and he's gonna, or a basketball game at UK, and he's gonna buy them, and they're gonna be gone. So it doesn't matter. So
Exactly.
guess what? It doesn't do him any good.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you know what? Like, just like you were talking about crossing over the border, it's like Ohio and Kentucky. You get into Covington in Kentucky, and all of a sudden you can see every bottle you want, but you're going to pay for it right across the river.
No doubt.
It's like, oh man, right over there, that bottle would only be $55 by law, but they also won't ever have it either.
And that's the tough thing now, because I feel like I thought that the bourbon boom would sort of cool off a little bit, or that maybe people wouldn't be as crazy as they are about collecting. But one difference between my last trip to North Carolina to this trip was there were a lot more people standing in the bourbon section staring at bottles than previous trips. I mean, I remember the time my brother and I went in and both grabbed 2 1.75s of Eagle Rare. They were just sitting on the counter, and nobody even cared to look at them. So, pretty crazy.
All right, so just real quick, this is a story I thought of about a liquor store in northern Kentucky that I stopped at a couple weeks ago. It's called Liquor City, all right, and nice people. It was great. It was nothing bad about the store or anything. But they have 2 locations apparently. So I stop at the one in Florence, all right, and the guy answers the phone, all right, and he realizes when he answers the phone how he answers the phone. He goes, to identify which location the person called, he goes, Liquor City, this is Florence. And then he hung up the phone, he looked at me, and I was just standing there staring at it. He goes, I just realized that the guy probably thinks my name is Florence. And I was like, yeah, I thought it was too when you answered the phone like that. I was like, that's kind of funny. He goes, yeah, I just realized that too. So
that's funny.
Anyway,
he should answer the phone. Liquor City, Florence. No Blanton's available. Thank you very much.
I think that's probably what he gets tired. That's probably what he gets tired of saying. Is like, no, we don't have Blanton's. They did have it, but they're in a reward system. You had to spend like $1,000 to get a Blanton's.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned Eagle Rare.
That fall right into this week's bottle.
I'm liking that. So this week we got an Eagle Rare store pick. The distiller is Buffalo Trace. The bottle date is 2020, and like ABV, of course, with Eagle Rare, 45% or 90 proof. It's aged 10 years. This is Buffalo Trace's mash bill number 1. The MSRP is $29, but as you guys know, the price of Eagle Rare is variable. We still have local places here that do sell their store picks for the same price as the standard MSRP for Eagle Rare, but most of them usually, when they have them, they jack them up to like $60-$70 sometimes, and everybody laughs at them, but then they go buy those.
And then they all bought them anyway. People are coming in on 2 wheels to buy them at the store anyway.
Yep.
I like the Eagle Rare bottle. When I first got into bourbon, I didn't really like it because it just kind of looked like a wine bottle. But you know what? The more I look at it now, I think it's a pretty cool looking bottle. It's got the eagle on it. Of course, this has the sticker on it for being a pick. This one is from Value Liquors. Value.
Nice.
Letter U. Value. I know that kind of sounds like the Save a Lot of liquor stores, but I know nothing about it. I do know it's in Owensboro, Kentucky. But it looks like it's also said it was hand selected by Harlan Wheatley for Value Liquors. So it was probably picked sometime during COVID, so they weren't able to get down there and do it. But anyway, it is a 10-year, like you said, 10 years. It's now on the back of the bottle, which I don't know why that matters. People go crazy over the ones that had the 10 years on the front. It's now on the back. It's still 10 years, right? So
exactly,
whether it's on the front or the back, it doesn't matter. It's like the guy that graduates last in his class in law school is still a lawyer, right?
But you got to be the whiskey conspiracy theorist, and the whiskey conspiracy theorist said they moved it from the front to the back because they're eventually going to move it off the bottle, and it's no longer going to be.
Oh, so it's like they're like
it's like
moving
gradually
you to the back of the room
bottle.
until eventually you know what, you can't be in this class,
But there's been no validity to that.
So the next one's going to be like on the bottom, or or under the cap, like how you used to open like the Mountain Dews and see if you won something, Oh yes, I got a 10-year. But it's good solid cork. It's a Stephen pointed out it's a nice solid Buffalo Trace bottled cork. The foil on top. Got a little American spirit to it. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It talks about the nation's the cornerstone of the birth of our nation. Then it goes into a story about Eagle Rare and how that's tied into it. Then down here in the corner, there's one little thing that says Joe C. I don't know what Joe C is, but like it's somebody's name. It just says Joe C.
The music group from the 90s?
Joe C. That's
Is that the name of the eagle?
Little Joe. I don't know. Joe C. Maybe it is. You know what? Maybe that's the mascot.
Right. Maybe that's the mascot. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a 90 proofer though, right?
Is this? You guys might know this. I don't. I really don't know. Is this? This is the same bottle the BTAC bourbon comes in the antique collection? Is it the same bottle or not?
I think it probably is.
It looks like it.
It looks really close.
But is that the only other Buffalo Trace product that's not? This is in the antique bottle. It's not an antique.
It has it has the same foil on top. Had that nice.
Yeah.
Really nice foil on top, like BTAC.
The E.H. Taylors, they kind of like slant in a little bit more, don't they? They're similar, but they kind of cut in a little bit towards the bottom. Yeah, they're not like completely straight up and down like that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like I said, I had no interest in these kind of bottles when I first got into it because to me they didn't impress me. But you know what? The more I look at them, the more I think I like them.
The etching on the front's nice.
Oh, it is. It's solid. I like it. I bought one of these a couple years ago. Not a pick, but an Eagle Rare. Got it at Rite Aid. I was looking for a Christmas gift for custodian at my work, and I knew he liked bourbon, so I always bought him just some makers or something. And then I was up at Rite Aid right before Christmas, and they had some sitting out, and I was like, oh man, for $20 $25 or $26 at that time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll get him a nice Christmas gift. So he was impressed.
Oh yeah, when I moved here,
Now I would never do that for him because I don't like him that much. I mean, if I see it now, I'm keeping it for myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I moved here, Eagle Rare was like the ultimate. Take a bottle to a friend's house, get a gift, because it was $25. I mean, so you guys are being around the area longer. Have probably seen a little bit more than I had, but I know that I always would see it. And that, even though we talk about the eagle on the front, the actual logo, like the lettering, Eagle Rare, right on the front. There was recently the Colonial Golf Tournament, and a gentleman by the name of Jason Kokrak, who actually is from my hometown. He has a sponsorship through Eagle Rare, and so he had that logo on his shirt, right on his sleeve, and he won the golf tournament, and that got a lot of play.
Nice.
A lot of play in the bourbon groups. A lot of people talking because nobody knows who he is, so they're like, "Who's this guy? And how much whiskey does he get a year?"
I've heard of him. I know who he is.
I don't know how much or if he reaps the benefits of having that sponsorship, but I know that people really took screenshots, posted that online, and that logo was prominently displayed on his shirt sleeve. So that was probably a pretty big win for Buffalo Trace. Excellent win for him, but I mean for them too from a marketing standpoint.
So that's where all the Eagle Rare 17 goes.
Maybe, right? He gets it all.
This is like the one thing, like you said, that for $25 or $30, and it was pretty regularly on the shelf for quite a while. Now it goes a little people go a little crazy over it, but
Yeah.
This is the one that people are always like, oh, well, this is my daily sipper. I'm like, whatever, dude. Well, your daily sipper, sit around and drink bourbon every day like that.
Pour it in a sippy cup for your kid.
Yeah.
Exactly. What's going on here?
Yeah, that gets on my nerves. That's
Yeah,
it's on my list. I'm creating a list of terms and sayings and things like that in the bourbon world, and my daily sipper is on my list.
That could be a new thing. That could be a new segment. You could be like, you just made the list.
That's right. You just made the list.
Just
daily
like,
sipper.
yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Well, you know what?
Just like the old Chris
Don't
Jericho.
ask for my liver in 50 years when you've had your daily sippers. You know what?
Right.
You've been drinking bourbon every night.
Guys, should we go for our first notes?
Absolutely. God, something about this, without saying exactly what it is, just screams bourbon. You're just like, this is what I want bourbon to smell like.
I think we said that in another one, but this is like exactly what you think of when you think of bourbon.
I mean, it's just overwhelming caramel.
Yeah. It's caramel, nice balance of oak. I talked a little bit about sweetness that I get that reminds me of, again, I know this is not going to balance with people. Are going to be like, wait, oak and caramel? There's like the coating that's on a chewy sweet tart. I kind of smell here in the nose. What else are you guys thinking?
I mean, that's it for me.
That's it? Just
Get a good pleasant smell.
Yeah, it's
Just
really it's the caramel and
Really?
oak, and
yeah, color-wise,
I mean, I feel like
pretty light.
I feel like I get a little butterscotch and maybe a hint of marshmallow, but I don't know if I do or not. But
No, you do. I'm smelling it. I smell a little butterscotch. I don't know about the marshmallow, but I definitely smell the butterscotch, and I definitely think that no alcohol burn at all. I could nose this all day and not choke or cough.
go with that. Let's go for sips.
I mean, I'm just smooth, no burn.
Yeah, it's smooth.
It's a lot better than I remember it being, I guess.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've had it.
Yeah, I want to say it's been, I think, well over 5 years since I've had this.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not been that long for me, but I definitely pick up right away like a very light honey note mixed with that oak. It's not as much, I guess it's weird because I smell the caramel and the butterscotch, but what I'm getting on the palate is a little bit more of like an oaky honey note.
So what else is in the mash bill number 1 in Buffalo Trace? What's another?
Stag Taylor, Stag Junior, Buffalo Trace, Benchmark.
I like Stag a lot, and that's why I think I like Eagle Rare, because I'm a big Stag Junior kind of guy, and the Eagle Rare, of course, at 90 proof, you're going to get a lot more muted flavors, because Stags and Stag Junior are typically between 116 and 140 something proof.
Right.
So when you're getting that out of the barrel, it's a little bit different, but this is definitely pleasant. A lot of levels. I mean, if I didn't have to go anywhere tonight, I'd probably drink half this bottle. Sorry, Michael.
No, go ahead, drink it all. I mean, save some for me. It's my daily sipper. So
There you go. Yeah, it's your daily
I
sipper,
have some more
right?
tomorrow, but in an hour and a half it'll be tomorrow, so I can just
Exactly. Did you guys notice that people will sometimes pay more in the secondary for picks that say selected by Harlan Wheatley? And I've listened to enough podcasts and done enough research to know that when it says like, a Knob Creek pick is selected by Fred No, you know what I mean? It's not like it's usually just the distillery deciding what.
It's kind of the generic.
Yeah, it's very generic. But then there's people that actually are like, oh yeah, I want the one that says picked by Harlan Wheatley. I doubt, he was out there like, oh yeah, send this one to Value Liquors, right?
Well, I imagine the guy that's in charge of the place isn't going to admit that some of them suck.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So I think they're all going to be pretty good. But
I would hope so. What do you think, Steven? You would pay extra money for a Harlan Wheatley pick?
I was thinking in my head, I mean, if no one's tasting them, what's the difference of them just grabbing a random case off the assembly line and sticking stickers on it?
They don't know. Especially with
right?
I mean, this is Eagle Rare, so it's different, but especially like a Blanton's that's already a single barrel anyway.
Yeah.
What does it really even matter? I mean,
because everyone's gonna be different.
Yeah, they're all the one that you get here.
And what you said is gonna be like, they want the vanilla version. The distiller's gonna want the vanilla version of the bourbon. So what's the point of just grabbing any old case and just slapping stickers on it?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, that's probably the
that could be the
value in this one.
Well, I also think that's why in recent years too, if you're paying attention to these picks, and I don't, for me, if I can get my hands on some of these picks, I'm excited to have them. But there's very few that I've had that are like what I call off profile, and that's what I feel like barrel pick groups are going for. So it's like you're going for Eagle Rare, you don't want it to taste like
Eagle Rare,
the stuff you get off the shelf, right? So you want off profile stuff. Same with blends. And I've probably had maybe 2 Eagle Rare picks that I've tried before this one tonight that I've and maybe one was a little bit off profile, but they all kind of tasted similar to me.
So I just wonder, are these all 10 years? Okay, so Steven knows this too, and I don't know, it's probably not much of a secret amongst us, but I kind of like the Buffalo Trace picks.
Yeah.
I've got kind of a, little soft spot for those.
Yeah.
Some of them are 8 years, some of them are 7 years, some of them are 6 years. You pick those and they can vary, quite a bit in years. This one, it just says age 10 years. It doesn't have, there's no, I wonder if, can you get a 12-year Eagle Rare pick? Can you get a...
Well, I think, are those ages just kind of like what they target for, and then the profile is just how...
I don't know. I have no idea.
Distiller decides to take it at?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's what I'm saying.
This might have been matured at, 9 years, 3 months, or it might have been had to take 11 years, 6 months. I don't know what it...
I could be wrong, but wasn't the local restaurant that created quite a stir during the pandemic that released
with the 375s
of this Eagle Rare store picks? Didn't they claim 11 and a half years old?
Oh, I don't know.
I
Maybe
think
they might have. I'll have to go back and look and see.
I think they claimed 11 and a half years old, so there definitely has to be variation. But again, I've never been in the store where they've said... I mean, a lot of stores do that now where they'll tell you the exact age of what they picked, because Russell's is the same way, right? Russell's will just say whatever
Knob
generically.
Creek will too.
Yeah, same with the Knob Creek. So you had people... Sorry, I wish all you guys in the listening audience could have seen Steven's face when Michael said that. It was like a classic moment that if we had video going right now, you'd all would have laughed too. But so I feel like there's a correct the record kind of thing going on with these where they cannot all be just around 10 years old. They got to be a little bit shorter, a little bit over
I'm sure some
that.
people, the good companies or the good bars and stores get the good picks,
Oh yeah.
So I was looking just real quick. I missed this on the back of the bottle, and I thought about this. My in-laws just got back from Maine.
Okay.
And in Maine, I could have gotten empty bottles go for 15 cents a piece.
Ooh.
We could have taken everything that was in Steven's sink, send it up to Maine with my in-laws, and come back with $1.50.
Yeah.
I mean,
we could live like kings, right?
We miss out on a real opportunity there. I mean, that was our way of making money on this podcast.
Dang.
Ever since the spring cleaning episode, I've been really cleaning up my cabinet.
I applaud you. Doesn't it make you feel good to open that cabinet up and see empty space in there?
Yes and no.
I mean, you can easily fill it, but
I have quite the overflow from the cabinet to the counter.
Yeah, I mean, you're
more space for whiskey, Steven.
That's true.
We're getting ready to go on our trip. Got my passport. We're ready to go.
Woohoo!
I've downloaded. I've not actually listened to probably the last 5 or 6 of our podcasts.
That's why the numbers are low.
That's why the numbers are low. So I'm gonna binge it on the way down to Mexico on the flight. You know,
artificial spike.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to them all down there. I'm gonna listen to a few of them down there, so that we get our numbers up in international waters. You know, the Spanish translation version of it down there. You know, maybe we can get a bartender on an episode down there. We can get some thoughts. See how Steven's heads.
I like that.
Yeah, we don't have to actually do the episode; just record his thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, while we're down there.
I love it. I'm all for this. Just so you know.
Well, you know,
110% endorsement.
So, fellas, would you pass, try, or buy on the Eagle Rare?
well, I think I would buy. I mean, I always buy them anyway, just when they come out, just to have somebody always wants one. So I'm gonna buy it, and I've got a boss at work that likes Eagle Rare, so I'll always at least sell it for him. But I'll buy one. I do think these have gotten, maybe I've changed, but I think they've gotten better. I wasn't impressed the first time, but you know, I'm still not super impressed, but it is really good though.
I'm kind of on the fence. It's good. I've enjoyed it. I know I have one bottle of my cabinet that's unopened. One aspect, I like it for the money. But this always comes out locally with us with a Weller Special Reserve, a Blanton's, a McKenna, and the Eagle Rare are always out there. And I would always feel bad if I ended up with an Eagle Rare.
Yeah, it's definitely always the last one you pick if they're all there.
Because I think I would obviously pick, for the price range, I would probably pick the Special Reserve over this. So I think I'm going to be a try on this.
I'm actually going to go looking through your house right now for that 10-year that you have with the front label, because, I mean, if it's got the 10-year on the front, it's got to taste better, right? I'm just kidding.
It's got one extra note.
What's interesting about this past try or buy is the fact that I did get off of Eagle Rare for a while. I was always a buy for a long time, and then I stopped buying it.
Got off
it was almost like
got off on it.
Got off the Eagle Rare, got off on it. Is that what you heard?
Which train are we talking
No,
here?
come on now. You guys. I actually stopped buying it for a while. Then about 6 months ago, I started buying it every time I saw it, and it was because I really enjoyed the bottle. So I'm going to be solidly in the buy category tonight. Is no exception. I really like what I'm tasting. And again, if you can get this for close to the retail price, between $30 and $35, I'm going to buy it 11 times out of 10.
Oh, yeah, that's another good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I'm not going to spend anything extra on this bottle.
Yeah.
Well, that was
over than MSRP.
Well, here's what I was going to say if I was going to throw a wet blanket on Steven's idea of trying it there. You know, the problem with Eagle Rare has gotten to be where, like, if you want to try it, you got to try it at somebody's house. Because it's a $29 bottle at the store, but if you're going to get it at a restaurant, it's going to be like $15. You know, because they know it's reached that like upper level of what pours cost. You know,
Yep.
And so you're going to pay for like half the bottle in one pour at a restaurant.
I honestly think it's that word rare on the bottle.
You think so?
And that's what's like...
So if it was Eagle Plenty, this wouldn't be worth.
Or Eagle Nice.
Yeah.
Eagle Smooth.
Yeah,
Eagle Malt. I don't know, something.
you're probably right.
You know, listen, to me, all roads go back to Buffalo Trace. At the end of the day, there's a lot of Buffalo Trace haters out there, but this is part of the reason why there's a lot of fans out there, right? Because you do have a 10-year-old bourbon, you know, similar. Even McKenna now. Look at McKenna's price. The price of McKenna, if you can get it near retail, is, I think, $42 now, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So even Heaven Hill, for their 10-year-old offering that people kind of clamor for and go kind of crazy for,
Oh,
they're
10
already
years.
jumping the price
Yeah.
here. You know what I mean?
that's-
It used to be $23, just like Eagle Rare used to be $25. So even in the race of prices going up, they still have stood firm. I'd probably still pay $40 for this if it was $40.
You're gonna find them. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. Around here, you're gonna find them. Just gotta be looking.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comments section. Until next time, keep it neat.